The MP5, the most widely used SMG in the world and a favorite in a lot of first-person shooters, having that iconic cocking handle slap after you finish a reload. It is time that I finally made a build for the MP5. This is theoretically the highest TTK SMG in the game when you're firing mid-mass at its intended range of 15 to 20-ish meters, depending on the attachments you put on here. But enough with all that rambling, let's get on with the build. Starting with a blank slate here. For the barrel, you have 5 choices here. I tried a lot of these different barrels here with different combinations of attachments, and the one that I landed up liking the most is the MP5 Tactical Barrel Combo, which increases your range by 1 meter and gives you a few extra stats at the cost of other ones, but we'll make up for those a little bit later. So for the barrel, we're going to first calibrate this with negative 50 grams and negative 10 millimeters, because you're not going to be firing this weapon at incredibly long ranges. The build we're going for here has max damage up to 16 meters. For the muzzle device, I chose to go with the titanium contest muzzle brake just to reduce the overall recoil of the weapon. For the foregrip, I actually chose to go with the competition hand stop, so this gives you a lot of accuracy, some handling at the cost of a little bit of control. And then I calibrated this with plus 20 millimeters and plus 20 grams to get extra stability when moving, because I was moving a lot when using this weapon, and plus 4% extra control. For the magazine, now you do have the option to put a 50 round drum mag on here. I chose to forego it. I felt I was doing better with just a 30 rounder and the mag assist, but you could very easily put this on here. But just know that there are a lot of penalties for the 50 round mag, which is why I chose to not equip it, and then just put on the mag assist. You unfortunately can't change out the rear grip or the pistol grip for this weapon, so moving on to the stock here, I chose to go with the Cardinal Advanced Combat Stock, so giving us plus 3 control, plus 2 handling, and a little bit of stability, because I did want to have some kind of stability for this weapon when I'm firing at the longer ranges. Now, I had made a build that was pretty much only hip fire with like the shortened barrel and like no stock and stuff like that, but I just felt like I wasn't performing all that well with it, and this build that I have now, it was just doing absolutely great things for me. So install that, and then we're going to calibrate this with negative 2 slots and negative 4 slots. For the optics, so I chose to put a multi-purpose tactical riser here because I did want to have a laser and an optic. So we're going to put an optic here, my favorite one, the XRO. Then we're going to calibrate this with negative 20 millimeters of eye relief. Put the laser of your choice. I had put, I think, the purple one on here, but whatever you want is perfectly fine. And then for these 2 rail slots here, the reason why I put this tactical riser is because you can put panels on here, and I chose to put the Hornet handguard panel to get some of that accuracy back and really make it viable even when you're hip firing at, 10-ish meters. If you don't really have the time to ADS, at least you can still manage and hip fire people down very easily. Now, this weapon unlocks quite late in the operate progression at level 29. And in order to use this build, you will need to level up the MP5 to level 54 for the titanium contest muzzle brake. Now, the MP5 is an absolute beast in CQB engagements due to its high fire rate and relatively high damage model at 26 damage per shot to the chest and to the stomach. And then for the limbs, it does 20 damage per shot. Now, it doesn't have an incredibly high damage modifier for the headshots, only doing 32 damage, but that's par for the course for most of the SMGs in the game, with the odd one being out here and there. Now, at first, I had tried to make like something that would extend the range of the MP5, but man, the handling on it just ended up being absolutely abysmal, and it didn't do all that great, and you weren't really extending the range enough to warrant having the extremely low handling and extremely low accuracy. So then I decided to completely scrap that build and just go with something that really played to the strengths of the MP5, which is CQB engagements, just mowing down people in theoretically 219 milliseconds, which is the TTK of this specific weapon when you're aiming mid-mass, so doing that 26 damage per shot. You can still get some kills at decent ranges with the MP5. It's just a lot of the shots are going to go all over the place due to how fast it fires, and its slightly jagged recoil pattern that really goes up and to the right, up and to the left, and up and to the right. I tried to mitigate some of that, but at those longer ranges, you're still going to probably feel it quite a bit. But seeing as its stability is a little bit higher than the base, you could also hold your breath and probably take a few enemies down at those longish ranges. And I'm using the word long here very loosely, because beyond 30 to 40 meters here, you're not going to be doing much with the MP5 due to its damage modifier. At those longer ranges, you're down to like 0.6x damage at 40-ish or 40, yeah, about 40 meters, you're down to 0.6x damage, which is not much. Now, I was specifically using Toxic when using the MP5 because I really like the buff that the Adreno boost gives in terms of handling. So the handling is decent enough on the MP5 at 64. You're ADSing quite quickly, and then you can also use the tactical stance. But then if you stack the Adreno boost on top of that, the handling just goes through the roof, and you're ADSing this thing in a matter of a split second, like 150 milliseconds, for example. I think that's roughly what it is. You're ADSing this thing, and if not, you can still hip fire quite well, even up to 10-ish to 15 meters, which is the range at which you're doing maximum damage with the MP5. I had tried to crank that up all the way, as I said, with like my hipfire build, but I just felt like it wasn't performing all that well, and I was doing much better with this specific build that, you know, is a more well-rounded build overall. And really the only downside is the mag size in this build with 30 rounds. Again, you could put the 50 round mag on here, but I just felt it wasn't worth all of the negatives that specific mag gave the weapon. But if you can play around that smaller mag capacity, this thing just melts through multiple enemies in those CQB engagements, especially if they're running or very close to each other, where you can just slightly move your aim and then just mow the next person down. It is just so satisfying to get multiple kills in a singular mag with the MP5. So as usual, the weapon share code will be in the description down below, as well as in the top pinned comment. But that'll be it for today's video. I'll leave you with a few highlight clips of me using this specific build. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.
Let's get a jolt in our reins!